Hello, back. Sorry what took so long. But now this is Ninjago Season 1, Episode 2, Part 2. And I left off where Lloyd woke up back at the monastery. Okay, so Lloyd woke up in the monastery and he was shocked and confused. He got up and went inside the monastery because he was outside where all of him and his friends were when they first saw the merge. And so he went back inside the monastery and he was looking around at the mess and chaos that happened inside the monastery. And he picked up some scrolls that Mr. Wu was reading so that way he could understand what he was trying to do, understand what was going on and stuff. If Master Wu knew anything about this. But they were all destroyed, damaged, some were wet, fell apart, all that kind of stuff because they were wet. And so Lloyd was pretty upset and annoyed by that, so he'll never understand or know what's going on. I mean, I don't know yet. I have to see the rest of the episodes just to see if he will figure out later. But for now, he didn't know what was going on. And later, he was just he stayed in the monastery for a couple of days alone and didn't see the rest of the ninjas. And he was outside sitting on the porch, I think. And he was drinking, I don't know, coffee or something like that. I think he was drinking something. And then later, he saw the Bounty, the little flying ship, the Bounty. So he saw that and he was shocked because it wasn't there before. So Harry went up there, started looking around. There's a lot of boxes. And so he just kept looking around, confused. It almost looked empty, but then he sensed someone was there. And then he started attacking and fighting and knocked them down on the ground. Then he was about to punch them until he found out it was... So the person that Lloyd was about to punch, probably knock out, was actually his friend, Kai. So apparently Kai was the one he was fighting the whole entire time and didn't even realize until he showed his face, turned, and then he stopped. He's all like, Kai? And then Kai was all shocked, scared, and angry. He's like, what are you doing? Either he's like, what is you doing, or what's wrong with you? But he was completely freaking out, and Lloyd apologized and said that he hasn't seen people in a couple of weeks. So he thought he was the only one who made it out alive. And so then Kai got up and they hugged. And then later they started talking, caught up. And then later a giant rip into the sky, the part of the little merge thing, opened up. And so then Kai and Lloyd freaked out. So they tried to close it using their elemental powers. President Lloyd was talking about how it was weird how the hole would close when it was being stopped by elemental powers. So President Lloyd thought that was interesting and suspicious and all that kind of stuff. And he's wondering what the connection is. And then he said that Kai left so that way he could find the others. So that way they could be reunited and stuff. So he went on the Bounty and left and waved goodbye. And then Lloyd waved goodbye. And then he walked back into the monastery. And then he was building a new Bounty. So that way he wouldn't be trapped in the monastery for long. And he too could travel around and try to find their friends. But he was only able to build the whole thing. He wasn't able to work the engines and gears and all that kind of stuff. That's why he's letting Sora do it in the present. So he took a break, and that's when he went to the city, the new merged city, and that's when he saw someone doing spinjitzu, aka Aaron, and he thought that was interesting because he doesn't remember an orange ninja, so he decided to go check it out just in case maybe it was one of his friends. That's when they were kidnapped, that's when he saved him, that's when he realized it was Aaron, all that kind of stuff. So that's when it was just the whole backstory of how he found them, how he saved them, and what happened during the merge. And so Sora was finished, and Lloyd got the Bounty ready, got it moving, and later he started driving to the place Ryu showed them with rocks, and then later they found on the scroll, his little homeland. So Lloyd was driving them there, and And so while Lloyd was driving, Aaron and Sora were playing with baby Ryu. They were throwing around this nunchuck you see in Ryu's mouth, throwing around like it was like a chew toy for him. They kept playing around, and Lloyd was looking, smiling, and then he like turned around and noticed that they were close to their destination and said they were getting closer. But then he paused, and later that's when you see like the Triceratons ship. You see the ship coming. And so then he freaks out, and then you see more ships coming, and then they realize that they've been followed. And so then later you see them like shooting lasers at them from their little hover ship thingies. And then later you see Lloyd trying to drive away from it, but then one of, I think, their boosters got like hit and exploded, so they were falling, and Lloyd said get ready for a crash landing, and I think he told them to hold on to something. And then later they were like falling really, really fast, and then later they stopped. They opened their eyes, and that's when they found this giant dragon that was holding on to the ship with her back. And yeah, I think with her back. It was either with her hands or her back. But either way, she was holding on to the giant ship, and she started flying and put them dropped them on the ground. And so then Sora got angry. She's like, hey, you have any idea how hard it was to fix those engines and repair all that? And then she got, like, the dragon got all angry, because I think, yeah, the dragon got all angry. And then Sora was all like, I wouldn't mind fixing that again. And then you see all, like, Lloyd jump off of the bounty. You see baby Ryu jump off of the bounty. And apparently this giant dragon queen, she asked if baby Ryu was okay. She couldn't believe that he was there with the humans. And she was angry, and she was like, what'd you do with baby Ryu? And they tried to tell her that they were good, that they didn't do anything bad with Ryu, that they were friends with Ryu and friends with dragons, that they didn't want to hurt dragons. And so then she starts looking around her little home, and she sees all of the Claws of Imperium like shooting lasers and trying to catch the dragons. And then she got angry and looked at them and said, do you expect me to believe that? And so she was about to attack them, and baby Ryu jumped in the way, and she stopped. And I think the queen dragon said that he was too young to understand everything that was going on and doesn't know if he could trust these humans. And so then I think Lloyd was all like, please let us fight with you, show that we are allies with you, or something like that. And so then she let them help with the fight. And so you see them all going to battle and fighting. Aaron not doing so well because he's just like trying to be a ninja. He did like spinjitzu, and I think he like ran into a tree, like accidentally bumped into a tree. And then Lloyd went to go check on him and said like he's going to need some training. And then you see them fighting even more and more, but you see so many dragons keep getting kidnapped and stuff. And then I know Sora and Ryu were fighting one of the Claws of Imperiums. And then Triton was annoyed and angry and said that Sora was getting on his last nerves. So he got Sora and Ryu and was about to drop them off of the giant cliff that was hanging like really high. So he was about to knock them off, but then the queen dragon came and saved them, and then she like blew him away, and then he like almost lost his balance but caught himself in his little floating ship ride thingy. And then he saw her, and he couldn't believe how big and huge she was. And so then he told all of his soldiers to go after her. And so he showed Roz how big the dragon was. And so Roz was hiding behind a boulder, a little, like a couple miles away from the little kingdom, or not kingdom, the home, because it didn't really look like much, just mountains and rocks, all that kind of stuff. So he was just like a little far away from the home and all the dragons and stuff, hiding behind another giant rock. And so he had other little Claws of Imperium with him, asking if they should like join them or attack or anything. He's like, no, just watch. I think that was it. Or Ross said that, something like that. He was talking to one of them and just said, no, just watch. And so then later you see Triton with all of his soldiers trying to catch her, and they almost succeeded. And Lloyd, Aaron, and Sora were worried, and they didn't know what to do, and they needed a plan on how to save her. And then Lloyd said that those two gave, I think he was talking about Sora and Ryu, gave him an idea. And so then later he started running towards the queen and all the soldiers who were trapping her and kidnapping her with their weird weapons, bringing her down and stuff. And so he started fighting each one, and then he was next to her holding his sword out, trying to see if anyone was gonna dare to get close to him and fight him, and trying to protect her and stuff. And so then he was telling her that Lloyd and Sora and Ryu have a special bond together, human and dragon. So he was wondering if she knew anything about this, and she said she didn't. And then he said if she could do that with him, then maybe they'll be able to defeat all of these soldiers. So then I think her eyes, her green eyes glue brighter, more green. And so it glowed up. Yeah, her eyes glowed up. And then later, Lloyd told them to stay back, and then it didn't look like they were going to actually believe him, or they were going to stay back. And so then he said, last chance. And so then later, that's when Lloyd and the queen did their little bond. She blew this gust of wind, he turned around, and they were doing their little bond thing. He had more power than ever. He did this spinjitzu, and then had this giant tornado, and then all of the Clouds Imperium were trying to drive away with the little vehicles and stuff, trying to save themselves. And then Triton tried to call Roz, saying they need backup, and then Roz saw the giant tornado, and then they left. And I think Roz said, we got what we came for. So he didn't even help any of the soldiers. And so then they left, and then Lloyd beat all of them, and they all collapsed to the ground, knocked out. Then he started spinning next to the queen, and then he slowed down, and then he went totally normal again, no more power up. And then he was breathing, I think he was breathing heavy, and he said that was something, he was not expecting that much power, or it to be that strong. And then later you see Aaron and Sora come close to him, seeing if he was okay and checking if everything was okay. And then later he looked at the queen and said that his theory was right, and she was all yes, you were right. She said, or I can't remember fully what she said, but the last thing I do remember her saying was that he's a wise master. She said he was a wise master. And then Lloyd got shocked, and then he shook his head and smiled and said that he's not a master. Aaron and Sora were looking at him, and then they got upset because they really wanted a master, so that way they could be trained to become ninjas. And Lloyd looked at them, and then he said that he guessed he could be a teacher. And he was I can't fully remember what he was talking about. I just remember him saying that the ninjas used to be hope and pride, but now with all of them gone, everyone's lost hope. And so that's pretty much all I can remember him saying, but point is he's going to train them to be ninjas now, and they might be the new hope. And so then later you see them leaving, and you see Aaron and Sora saying goodbye to baby Ryu, since he's got to stay with his dragons, his family. And so the queen was talking about how they're going to have to leave because those soldiers aren't going to stay down for much longer. And they talked about how they will have to, the humans and dragons will have to become friends someday and bond if they were meant to be together, the ones with elemental powers, that is. And so when they were about to leave, Aaron and Sora were pretty sad that they had to leave Ryu. And then Ryu came, and he had the little nunchuck, and they were playing, and apparently Ryu wanted to be back with him. And the queen thought that that was foolish of him, saying that he's still too young to understand all of this. But Lloyd said that Ryu would be safer with them, so she agreed, even though she didn't like it. But she said that their relationship or bond with dragons and elemental humans had to start somewhere. So she let them go. They were happy. This is the scene you see where Ryu comes back with them. And then Lloyd goes, or they all go back, and Lloyd is about to train them to become ninjas. And that's it. hope you enjoyed, other than all the stuttering and stuff that I messed up with.